Hi everyone, and welcome to today's General Hospital recap. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos or recaps. Good day on General Hospital, so let's get right to it. At the hospital, Olivia has arrived at the hospital and she got everyone coffee, which was just really nice of her. And her and Lulu talk about Dante and how he always hid his pain, even as a kid, even though she told him like it was okay to cry and everything, but he always felt like he needed to be so strong. And Olivia heads off to check on Sonny. Speaking of the people waiting on Sonny, so in the waiting room, Morgan is out of control. But what's new? In the waiting room outside of the OR, and he wants to know what's taking so long. And Michael and Carly are like, it's a delicate process, it takes time. And he's like, well, I'm gonna go in the OR and find out myself. And I'm like, dude, you gotta calm it down. So they try to break it down for him, as to why it's a bad idea if he goes into the OR. Like, I don't feel like I have to explain that to you. I think we all got that, and he feels the doctor and the hospital are just handling them, and they're not like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he wants from these people. So Michael's like kind of yelling at him at this point, and Carly puts a stop to all the yelling because she's like, this isn't productive. Like, this isn't this. Exactly. Olivia comes into the waiting room. She asks about Sonny. Carly says, they don't know anything yet. And Olivia's like, oh, it's been such a long time. And Morgan jumps in and he's like, see, she gets it. It's been such a long time. It's time to take action. And Olivia's like, no, that's like, no. That's not what I meant at all. Then Patrick comes in, thank goodness, because I don't know how much Morgan I could take. And turns out surgery was a success, but he's not out of the woods yet. And there's also swelling around Sonny's spine, so it'll be a few days for the swelling to go down, for them to know how serious or to know anything for sure, because they can't tell right now. At the chapel, Dante is at the chapel praying for Sonny, and he says, he had no right to criticize Sonny when he cheated on his wife. And he's in kind of a full-on confession about, what he did, and then Lulu walks in and hears him ask if they can come back from this and if he can be forgiven for what he did. So she gives him the coffee and then asks him what he was so torn up about in the chapel. And he tells her he was asking for forgiveness for what he said to Sonny. And she tells him, he has nothing to be forgiven for because he didn't make Sonny's heart stop. It was the bullet changing positions. And she says, and he's like, well, that's not exactly true. So I feel like Dante was kind of about to tell her when Olivia comes up and tells them that Sonny is out of surgery, and they all leave, and Carly and crew and Dante, Olivia, and Lulu are outside Sonny's room in the ICU, and Carly goes in to visit with him because everyone's like, it's your turn, you go. At the police station, Valerie has documents for Nathan and tells him that Ava's screaming bloody murder, and he's like, I don't care. Let her scream all she wants. I don't care. So then Nathan wasn't able to get a trace on who the bad guys called, who their boss was. Sad face. Valerie tells him that she's going to the hospital to fill Dante in, and Nathan stops her. So after failed attempts to stop her without bringing it up, he tells her that he knows that she and Dante slept together. Sorry about that. Can you tell I'm having a yawning fit, so I need to take a second. So Nathan kind of calls her out on how she acts around Dante. I love you, Nathan. And right now she could call him with the update, but instead she wants to go see him. And the other day when he walked in the police station with blood on him, she kind of freaked out and Maxie took notice. So he straight up asks her if she has feelings for Dante, and he says, set me straight if I'm wrong, and she's like, no, you're not wrong. So she knows her feelings are one-sided, and she won't put herself in the way, and she wouldn't want to put herself in front of Dante's happiness. I don't think even Lulu kind of comes into this at all for her. I'm just saying, Rebel, what are you doing? And then Nathan's like, I think the best thing to happen for everyone is that it all gets put in the past, and I know you're with Dylan now, so, So then the lab calls. Dun dun dun. Because the lab is testing Julian's clothes to see if there's any gunshot residue on him. It's like, oh, the lab called. What were they calling about? Lonnie! Lonnie's having a sneezing fit because we think she has asthma. At the jailhouse, so apparently Scott is going to be Ava's lawyer. Okay. So Scott tells her that Julian's in jail for allegedly having Sonny shot, and he tells her, you know, it's very serious, and the wedding didn't happen, and she's happy, and she thinks Julian did it for her. So Scott catches on. Julian did visit her yesterday, and he thinks Julian came over to tell her about his plans for Sonny. According to Scott, Diane isn't coming because Diane was supposed to be Ava's lawyer. Apparently Diane ripped up the check, which... Diane. But, you know, not only is there a conflict of interest, but, you know, Max isn't too keen on her representing the person who murdered Connie, so, yeah, not gonna happen. Basically, he wants her to hire him because he's so against Sonny, apparently. But apparently Scott has the recording, so plot twist, and he wants $5 million from her, and he'll give her the recording. So only $1 for her to retain him, but the other $4,999 like goes right into his bank account. And she wants assurances that once she hands the money over, the recording will be hers. And he's like, well, you kind of just have to trust me on that. But also she's like, well, my first act as a free woman is getting custody of Avery back, so I want you to represent me in the custody case. So whatever. Lucas visits Julian in jail. He point blank asks him, ooh, bad choice of words, if he had something to do with Sonny's shooting. Julian tells him that the only thing they have against him is that he was at the pier around the time Sonny was shot. Lucas agrees that that's not a lot, and Julian says he'll probably be out for the end of the day, and Lucas says, like, yeah, whatever, whether you did it or not, like, whatever. So Lucas kind of pulls the Carly's my sister, and this was her wedding day, and look what happened card. And he also brings up the fact that he's a doctor who saves lives, and all of the violence that goes on, like he's the one who has to deal with the families, and what if next time he's working on someone, it's someone from his family. And then Lucas is concerned that Sonny's people are going to be after Julian, and Julian's convinced that the police won't find anything against him, but Lucas knows his biggest problem isn't the police at all. End scene. So Valerie shows up at the hospital, because where else would Valerie be? And she says she doesn't have good news. Apparently there was no gunpowder on Julian, so the lab came back with a negative result. Nathan frees Julian, and Julian doesn't seem to be in such a hurry to leave, because after all that posturing, as Lucas called him out on, you know, now that he's not in his safe little cell, you know? Carly is visiting with Sonny, and he wakes up for her, so tomorrow should be touching. Tomorrow's what, Thursday? Yeah. Alright, so that is it for today's General Hospital recap. Thank you so much for watching. Also, I haven't said this in a few days, but we have a link in the description to save our animal sanctuary. It's a YouCaring campaign, so if you could please check that out. If you could donate, that'd be great. Even $1, that'd be amazing. But if not, if you could please share it, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you do, it would mean so much to me, personally. Thank you. And also, I'm starting this book. I'm like, what, 14 pages in? And, no, 18 pages. Oh my goodness. So, it's my second Stephen King book of this summer. I finished The Dead Zone yesterday. I have to read 2 because I missed last summer. But yeah. Exciting. Not exciting. I'm so scared. But in any event, I will see you tomorrow for more General Hospital. I hope you have a great day. Bye.